Good morning.
Good morning, Robert.
Welcome to Unity Center, a church of positive prayer, located in Pflugerville, right? Almost an oxymoron, but anyway, we're doing fine. Topic today is, what do your thoughts create? Simple, basic question. And I guess the answer to it is everything. Absolutely everything. And another thought I've had, it should have been titled, how far down the rabbit hole do we really want to go? Okay?
I've reached my limit.
And part of that is a conversation about what we talk about and what we focus on and what we teach. And there's two thoughts of beings here, and there's an idea that the rabbit hole, you just go far enough to make it feel good, to smooth things over and hope things work out. That's kind of like called superficial level, and that's the beginning process in what we call new thought. But then down deeper in the rabbit hole, there's a lot more to look at. And what we look at is, the question is, what do our thoughts create? And see, we only see the world around us, and we think people out there are doing things to us. Anybody familiar with that attitude? That means, oh my God, they did it to me again. You should have seen that, what she did and what he did. And that jerk is the president, and that, and we go on and on and on. And who created them?
We did.
We did. See, that's really down the rabbit hole. So the question is, how far are we going to go? And how far are we going to talk about it? And how far are we going to be honest in what we find? Because sometimes we find things down the rabbit hole that we don't like. Anybody been there? Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of like where we are in this congregation is what I'm looking at. A lot of people don't like the word you, okay, because it's accusatory. Okay, so why is it accusatory? Because I don't like what I'm hearing. Okay? And you did this to me, and it gets interesting how the language affects who we are and what we are speaking. And again, what we are speaking is what we're thinking, so we're creating what we're speaking. These are all basics, but the question is, how far down the rabbit hole do we go? And we're going to go kind of far this morning. The idea behind it is, there isn't anything out there. And no matter how upset I get, and no matter how much turmoil I experience, it's still part of me experiencing my thoughts and anybody ready? What I don't want. Because if I focus on what I don't want, what do I get? More what, because the law is what I think about, I create. And in that process, I got to accept the whole mess that comes at me, because the law says what I think about, I create. So that's the inelegant thing that I have to talk about from time to time. And I do have folks around me who say, Robert, you got to be positive all the time. And it's true, because if I don't look at what's going on, then I continue to repeat over and over again. It's like what Einstein said, it's insanity to think that you can change things with the same old thoughts. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where we are this morning. And I was looking at this whole process this week, and I realized it's like a computer. Computers are interesting. Anybody know if you get a bug in them, they don't work right? Crazy things. It's like Wednesday, I think it was, we had a function, and we usually do a 5-minute meditation before, so I use the Zen program that puts a gong, and then when it's over, it gongs again. And Wednesday morning, it didn't work. So I figured out what's going on. And it wouldn't work. And I pushed the button 3 or 4 times, wouldn't work. Okay, so we had to wing it, like we used to a year or 2 ago. But anyway, the idea was, what did I do? I shut the phone off all the way down, and then powered it up again. And what happened? It worked. So, when the computer, when the phone, whenever the electronic device is, goes haywire, we say, no, it's not working, so we reboot it. That's what it's called. Anybody there? Mm-hmm. So it's a perfect metaphor for us, because we have allowed the world to take over and co-opt our life and what we produce in our life by giving us new thoughts of anger, upset, hate, And we have to learn to reboot and go back to our internal spiritual self. You see? And what an interesting quote, and I don't remember exactly where I saw it. It might be with Joel Goldsmith. But it's just as easy to speak words of love as it is to speak words of hate. Okay? And they produce different things in my life. So, I've been going through literature. We ordered, by the way, we ordered a whole bunch of these. Some of you have seen them, some of you haven't. But this is a nice little pamphlet. The part of it, the outside of it is Unity branding. In other words, Unity Worldwide provides this. And then on the back the page in here, this is all you folks. Everybody see, that's pretty, that was a congregational thing, I think, that Greg took, yes? And then we have a nice blurb here, which is actually edited by Elisa. So the whole idea is, what does Unity teach? And what are we really doing? And are we diving down the rabbit hole enough to produce transformation? Because what we're talking about is the difference between feeling good for today and personal transformation at a deep level where my whole life changes. So you see, I can take enough of it just to feel good about myself, but then am I willing to go down deep and produce spiritual transformation? That's the conversation. Okay? And it goes on here. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. You ready? And what does Unity teach? First one, we all have an innate capacity to know God through direct experience. So each one of us has a programming deeply within us, which is back to the original self that was created. Genesis said, and we were created in the image and likeness of God. And that's your spiritual self. And everybody has that innately within them. So it's interesting to me that when somebody really hears something that makes sense, your inner self goes, okay, that's right, that feels good. Yes? Mm-hmm. Okay? And so we know, so we go back to, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Problem is, a lot of times we don't act on the truth, but innately within each one of us is that kernel of the Christ, we call it, which knows innately. Okay? So then it goes on and says, the Christ is that part of God that is every person. There's a spark of divinity within all people, just as there was in Jesus. So the Christ is a term or a title of where God is within you. Okay? So what's interesting is a lot of people, Jesus Christ was his name, but it really should be Jesus the Christ. Because the word Christ, we know, comes from the word Christos, which is a Greek word, and they spoke Aramaic. Everybody there? Mm-hmm. And it means, generally, Christos is light or enlightened, or the enlightened part of us. Mm-hmm. So Jesus the Christ is a model for who we are. Everybody there? Mm-hmm. So innately within us, we know that. And there's a part of us that fights that. It's like me fighting a piece of chocolate cake. Anybody familiar with that? Okay? Because we know. We do know. And there's a part of us that knows when it hears what I'll call the truth. Okay? Then it goes on. Next item here. Prayer works. Isn't that an interesting thing? And the definition for prayer is catching. You go back into, and I'm remembering way back, the word prayer is like setting a trap. So it's setting a trap for God or connecting with God. Everybody there? Connecting with God. Not asking God for something, please send me this, or heal Aunt Mary's left toe, or whatever we have to do. The prayer is the connection. Everybody there? So when I make the connection, things occur. Because I go back to my original rebooting of who I am innately. Everybody there? And so where I'm going with this is, and I have some quotes I want to share with you, but it takes the silence to make that connection. Okay? In other words, and I really appreciate Larry so much. That was fun. I enjoyed singing that. But then did you notice how quiet it became afterwards? Mm-hmm. And it was that moment of silence where connection occurs. Okay? Let's go on. Heaven is not a place, but a state of consciousness. We create our own heaven and hell here and now. By the way, we're going to have, I've ordered 2,500 of these brochures, so we're going to have a lot of them around. Because we're going to be doing the family festival here in Pflugerville. Cat group of people are going to be there, and we're going to hand this brochure out and let people know we're here. But this is on here, so it says, heaven is not a place, but a state of consciousness. We create our own heaven and hell here and now. Now, your consciousness is your awareness of what's going on around you, what you know, everybody you do know, and everybody you bring into your experience. So guess what? Sitting here in the room, what, 25 people? Stop and think about everybody you interact with. And all in your family and those that you love, they are sitting here with you. Because your consciousness is everywhere present. You see, this is a big issue. Understanding that of who we really are, a child of God, and as a spirit, as the innate within us, we are everywhere present, especially in those energies that we call family, loved ones. So how many people are in the room, actually? A few hundred. But see, that's the consciousness that we all are. Okay? Then it goes on and says heaven and hell, right? So heaven is a state of oneness with the Christ where I'm supposed to be. Hell is that place where we have bought into the race thought or the race consciousness that says everything's a problem, there are issues, I should hate, I should be angry, and I should seek revenge. Do you even feel the difference between those words? Then it goes on and says, heaven is not a place. We are here to set a positive example and be a role model for others. Everybody take a deep breath. Okay? Take that in. And really look at that. You stop and think about role models. When people are looking for answers, who do they talk to? Somebody they think has the answers. And we are here to express God. So if we're here to express God and we're living and expressing God, would you agree our lives should be working fairly well? The word should is important here.
I don't think so.
Okay?
I don't think so. We can be loving and all that, but I don't. The stuff in my life.
Let me get on with that because I want to go there. Okay? Perfect interlude. Let's go.
There you go. You're welcome.
Here's the problem. You ready? You get this? 7 billion people on the face of the earth. Everybody there?
Mm-hmm.
7 billion people right now thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to take that in
Oh.
and understand that there's a sea and a cloud of issues, problems.
Fear.
Huh?
Fear.
Fear. Okay, now, are we part of that or not part of that? See, how does that impact me? And my belief is, and I'm not saying this is, in other words, don't buy into this unless you really think it through, because we're going way down the rabbit hole, you get it? And the idea behind this is, there is this seed of miasma, and that's a fancy word for conditioning and beliefs. And those beliefs are around us everywhere. Now, the minute we go into a negative state of being, we become connected to that cloud. Right there?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens in our life? We start demonstrating those things. Now, can we stay away from it? That's part of the spiritual path. Is it easy? No. We still all have cancers to deal with, and we have balding heads and all kinds of stuff that occurs. But we are role models in overcoming. Okay, how many people in this room right now, how many of you have overcome major issues? I know you have. We've been through cancer and unemployment and this and that, but yet here you are with a big smile on your face. Would you consider yourself a role model? I consider yourself a role model. I do. Because you're overcoming. Doesn't mean we're walking on water, everybody there. It doesn't mean, nirvana has occurred. Is that possible? Yeah, I have to believe that is. However, what kind of life are we showing and what is happening in our life? And when Jesus was asked, how do I know somebody is of inspired, by their fruits you shall know them. What kind of life do they lead? Okay? So here's the key. We attract things into our life when we go on that side of thinking. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Madeline doesn't want me to say this, but I'm going to say it. Do you understand that, and this is from my heart, because I've had to look at this. A victim has to create victim issues in order to prove that they're victims. I want you to see that's again. And so there is, this cloud is mostly what?
An illusion.
Yeah. So here we are dealing in this cloud, and so things are going to happen. Why do bad things happen to good people? Okay, because we're all part of this, and it's the forgiveness that starts creating that. Let me go over here. Oh, I got one more here. We are here to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Let me tell you, there's a quote over here. When you get these, I want you to read these. People in unity believe that our world is on a cusp of new awakening. As we grow in consciousness, we create a more loving and peaceful world. But what has to get dredged up into reality before we go into peace? What isn't peace, okay? So we are in a healing phase right now. And I make no claims about anything other than my job and our job is to stay in love, okay? To stay in peace. And I'm going to quote some things. Oh, I put them over here. The great admonition by Jesus. We're going to do that. Mark 12:30 and 31. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God. This is what Jesus is saying. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. So it says love. So how do I express love?
Be love.
Isn't it interesting? You know, what is the feeling of love? And part of the reason I bring that up and ask that question is, do we really know what it feels like? Because love is something that comes through us and out of us. So a lot of people will say, well, I'm looking for love. Okay, well, how do I get love? I have to express it to have more come in. So it requires a flow through me because we are expressions of God. And if I'm a child of God, my job here is to express love. So how do I know how it feels? I express it and let it feel coming in. Because you can't give enough love away. You can't. Okay? And then it goes on and says, and the second is this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Now, there's no qualifications on who your neighbor is. Everybody there? I'm sorry. And it says, love thy neighbor. Period. Okay? Which means if we're not expressing love, are we the role model we are asked to be? So when we're expressing anger, hate, doubt, any of those key things, you know, that jerk up there, he's doing this, she's doing this, those are all things that connect us with the cloud that we don't want. Everybody there?
Yes.
And I apologize, but it's kind of like we're building a spiritual community and we're moving forward in that spiritual community. I believe this group is going to make a difference in even, not just Pflugerville, but the whole metropolitan area here, because you're of a mind where you want to heal. I see, when I'm complaining and criticizing and condemning, am I in a healing mode? Okay? So it's really an awareness. Now, part of the connection, it's the second is this, thou shalt love the Lord thy God, love thy neighbor as thyself. There is no other commandment greater than these two. So Jesus is saying, forget about all that other stuff and love thy neighbor as thyself, love the Lord thy God. So there's a direct connection, and he's saying this is what will work. Now, got more. I was going back into Emily Clay Cady, Lessons in Truth. Anybody remember this? Mm-hmm. You walk in the door of the Unity Church, this is the first thing. This goes back to the 1890s when it was written. Okay? It's really fascinating. Lessons in Truth. Based, how many, anybody here had taken this as a class? Look at the room. Okay? It has some very interesting things to say. This is beginning. Okay, now this is the cloud. This is the cloud. Every man believes himself to be in bondage to the flesh and the things of the flesh. All suffering is a result of this belief in the flesh.
Yeah.
Let it sink in. In other words, worry, doubt, criticism, all that is, we believe that is part of our life. And I was trained since then, you know, I remember you're going to have to struggle hard and don't get your hopes up, boy, and all that kind of stuff, okay? Then it goes on another page later. Each person, I'm going to degenderize this, each person must sooner or later learn to stand alone with their God. In other words, I have to reach the point where I trust and I know that there is an energy in the universe that's going to take care of me. And I can't doubt it. Then it goes on and says, nothing else avails. In other words, there isn't any. If you really understand the basics, all there is God. There isn't anything other than God. If we look at evil, evil is the absence of God, not a power in itself. So what we're saying is that if I'm in evil times, it means I'm not in God. Okay, so it's making those definitions, very interesting definitions. Then it goes, nothing else will ever make you master of your own destiny. Anybody agree we'd like to be master and run our own destinies? See, that's part of the lie that we're told. You can control things. I'm finding it doesn't work. Anyway, nothing else will ever make you master your own destiny. There is in your own indwelling Lord or Christ all the life and health, all the strength and peace and joy, all the wisdom, all the wealth and support that you can ever need or desire. It's already within you. And you see the cloud, that cloud of 7 billion people worried about life. See, when we go over here and start thinking, well, it's not going to work, or I'm tired of hearing all that stuff. Anybody waiting? Remember the play Waiting for Godot? Where they're hanging out in the corner waiting for somebody to show up.
Under
Okay?
a tree.
Huh?
Under a tree.
Under a tree. And it's kind of like, we're waiting, still waiting, still waiting. And the whole play is them hanging out, talking to each other, waiting. Okay? Now, anybody stop and think about it. When you interact with somebody else, would you like some feedback that they're interested in talking to you? Maybe God's waiting for us to ask. Maybe God's waiting for us to be silent and listen instead of talking. Okay, then it goes on to say, let's see, no one can give you as can this indwelling Father. Hitherto we have believed that we were helped and comforted by others, that we received joy. We're always looking outside. It's not there. It's inside. Matt and I have been talking about going home. Anybody like that feeling, I'm going to go home? Has anybody ever tried to go home? I've tried to go back and look at a house that used to be home. It's not there. Because it's a state of consciousness. And so that state of consciousness, God is good, all is well, nothing can affect me. 91st Psalm. Okay. I'm going on. The human intelligence is so accustomed to the sound of words heard from childhood that often they convey to it no real meaning. It's one of the things I think that happens in our New Thought community. We're so used to the buzzwords. Okay, we're so used to people saying, well, everything's good, and we just go, okay, that we don't take it in and really dwell on it and say, I and the Father are one. Because that's rabbit hole. You know, really stop and think about it. I am a child of God. And as a child of God, what do I inherit? Everything. Okay? I can go on and on. The claiming of your rightful inheritance, the inheritance that God wants us to have in our daily life, is just what we are learning how to do in these simple talks. Okay? I've got more stuff here. We could go on forever and ever. But the main idea is I'm starting to look at the idea that things happen and we make choices, and it's our choices that produce our results in life. Every man must take, and this is what I want to bring as an ending, every man or every person must take time daily for quiet and meditation. I'll say that again. Every man, every person, human, must take time daily for quiet and meditation. It doesn't say listen to music. It doesn't say, it says be quiet in meditation. Okay? In daily meditation lies the secret of power. Would anybody like power? I'll say it again. In daily meditation lies the secret of power. So it's learning to be silent. The world is so full of stuff. And the minute I turn the TV on, I'm gone. Because it goes, oh, okay, this is happening. Because the ego wants to keep me away from the truth is what I believe. And so I'm just sharing with you part of my struggle in that silence is what takes me closer to the Father. And the idea behind this is prayer. We don't control God. We don't use our thinking to send energy to anybody. All we do is make a connection with Spirit. And where is Spirit? Everywhere present. Under all conditions, under all things. So all I have to do is connect with Spirit, and everything that's in my consciousness harmonizes. So if we have Aunt Mary out there that has a stubbed toe, and we need to pray for her, we don't pray for her toe, we make a connection with Spirit, and things happen spontaneously. That's the value of silence. And as you know, Pat went to school, and we were talking about putting a beginning idea of meditation. Because if you're like me, back in the beginning, it was difficult. Nobody told me that you can't, that your mind gets full of stuff and you want to stop. Okay? And there's techniques to overcome that and be able to sit in silence. Okay? Then it goes, no one can grow in either spiritual knowledge or power without it. Practice the presence of God as you would practice music. Larry, how long have you played the guitar? Unfair, right?
Yeah, 50 years.
50 years, yeah. Think you've done a lot of practice? Okay, these things don't happen if they take time. Because they're so different than the world has trained us to do, we have to redo things. Reboot, okay? Then it goes on, practice the presence of God, just as you practice music. No one would ever dream of becoming master of music except by spending time daily. Daily meditation alone with God focuses the divine presence within us and brings it to our consciousness. Because our consciousness is one with Spirit. When we make that connection, things change. This, how far, and you can tell I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks now, and there's more coming. I don't know, it's bubbling up within me, because my life is changing. You know, some of you are aware things are shifting, the world is shifting. The energies that are now present to us are different, I believe. Harvey has created a change. Mm-hmm. You can feel it. You can literally feel it. And it's time to make the connection so that we rebalance and recreate a new world. And you are the venue for doing that. So as we work on ourselves, we work on the oversoul. Those 7 billion people out there pumping out problems, we can pump out love. So thank you for joining me in that event. I look forward to growing our group.